honor, ladies and gentlemen, to welcome you to another edition of Press Hour. Cameroon is a special country, and we Cameroonians are blessed people. Of the many blessings we have counted in the week that just ended, we shall pick two as our talking points: the election of His Excellency Mr. Jean Philemon to the prestigious post of the United Nations General Assembly President, that is the 79th General Assembly, and the victory of the indomitable Lions over Cabo Verde. We trust you know, but we wish to remind you, ladies and gentlemen, that small and medium-sized enterprises and the social economy are the backbone of the Cameroonian economy. They account for over 90% of businesses and over 70% of employment. In the wake of an international conference in Cameroon in the domain, our question is, what is the role of small and medium-sized enterprises as well as that of social economy in economic transformation? That will be our focus. And we're going to treat this topic with the experts in the field. We want to welcome Dr. Tuminta Kennedy, who is an economist. Doctor, welcome once again. It's always a pleasure to welcome you on Press Hour.
Yeah, the pleasure is mine. It's always great being on Press Hour and to share this distinguished panel with my co-panelists and great experts of our time.
Thank you. Last night you were on the plane flying back to Cameroon and you promised us you were going to be on this set.
Yes.
You are right here. Thank you for that sacrifice.
You're welcome.
And just next to you is Dr. Tata Emmanuel Fon, who is an expert in machine building and agricultural value chain engineering. He actually is in the field doing what we are saying has to hold the Cameroonian economy, small and medium-sized enterprise. Doctor, once again, welcome to Press Hour.
Thank you very much. It's always an honor to be on CRTV, to be particularly on Press Hour. I want to say greetings to all the other panelists, and hopefully we're going to have a nice time here discussing this very interesting subject.
Thank you very much. And our own Elias Ngalame. Elias Ngalame is the producer, is the publisher of our Economic Outlook. Simply, he puts it officially as Eco Outlook. Elias, welcome to Press Hour.
Thank you, Killian. Thank you for inviting me once again after a while. Thank you.
How is Eco Outlook doing?
Well, we are pushing on. The economy is very strong. It's very difficult, but we just have to keep the flag flying.
And that's why we've invited you to come and enlighten us, because that is your area of specialty. I'm talking about your paper. And we have been talking about choosing two points out of the many blessings that we had during the week. We always start this program with press review, what the press fed on in the week that just ended. Yoti Kalele Songe read the newspapers for Press Hour. Yoti.
It has made and is still making major headlines at home and abroad. Cameroon's Philemon Yang has been elected president of the 79th United Nations General Assembly. To municipal updates, Cameroon has scored a major diplomatic victory, a win that, according to the Guardian Post, has put Cameroon on the global stage again, meaning that, as far as the 79th UN General Assembly is concerned, Philemon Yang is in command, writes Cameroon Tribune. Meanwhile, turbulence still reigns at the Cameroon Party for National Reconciliation, PCRN. The papers report that the PCRN founding father has defied the court and held a congress expelling the national president, Cabral Libi, and 20 others from the party. Readers had a chance to read on the Kona-led faction justifying their actions on the Guardian Post, while Eco Outlook was keen on the Douala Airport Customs Services seizing a huge quantity of cocaine. About the same time, doctors are saying no medication should be sold without prescription. This, the Horizon reveals, is in reaction to pharmacists shutting down the Beaume Francois factory for non-conformity. The Herald Tribune, on its part, took an interest in rehabilitation workers who gathered for a training on intensive child neurology. Meantime, the National Observatory on Climate Change has predicted imminent floods and violent winds in 6 regions of the country. Football also featured amongst articles on newspaper columns. The Guardian Post informs readers of the Cameroon Football Federation Fecafoot unleashing a killer punch on the government with regards to the 2026 World Cup qualifiers, a feat that catches the attention of Gregoire Owona, whom the Horizon has on record calling for dialogue to resolve the conflict between Fecafoot and the Ministry of Sports and Physical Education. In the same newspaper publication, Akere Muna regrets that football is now the subject of a sordid spectacle in Cameroon, a saga that deepens further, underlines the Guardian Post. Nevertheless, the Cameroon-Cabo Verde clash happened on Saturday as per the calendar for the 2026 World Cup qualifiers.
Thank you very much, Yoti Kalele Songe, for updating us with what the newspapers fed on in the week that just ended. We talked about 2 very, very important issues, that as important as so many others that we're not going to talk about, as blessing that Cameroon had in the week that's just ended. We're going to talk, first of all, about the prestigious post of the President of the 79th General Assembly of the United Nations that the Cameroonian, His Excellency Mr. Yang Philemon, got through an election, and not only an election, but by acclamation in the United Nations in New York. We're going actually to talk about this, an honor to Cameroon. Who's going to talk first? I start with the press man.
Yes, Kilian, I think this is a big diplomatic victory for Cameroon. But more specifically, an added feather in the cap of Philemon Yang, who has had a very brilliant career. We observe that he has been upscaling since he started in 1975 as minister at the age of 25 and moved and served for a long time as a Cameroon ambassador to Canada.
20 years.
20 years. And again, the longest serving prime minister so far in Cameroon. I think this is quite brilliant of him.
Exactly. Today he is the president of the 79th General Assembly of the United Nations, the world's biggest organization. Yes, Dr. Tata?
Well, Kilian, I think it's, of course, something we should join him to celebrate, but then we should also look very closely at the challenges that lie in front of him, because what is the importance of an appointment that might end up embarrassing us if we do not if we do not look at the intrigues? Because, you see, we have a lot of challenges in Cameroon, and having the responsibility of being able to chair the United Nations means that it's usually said that when you want to dine with the elders, you have to wash your hands clean. What that means is that if we're having a lot of challenges in Cameroon, it might place him in a very difficult seat to be able to intervene, to share his opinion, and to cast opinions on issues at the United Nations General sitting. So I just feel that, yes, it's an achievement we should celebrate, but then we should not forget the fact that it is also an assignment, and it is also a challenge for Cameroonians to join hands with him, support him, so that he can go through this task that has been given to Cameroon.
Yes, Dr. Kennedy, when the world's presidents sit, he is the one who is going to chair. He's talking about challenges. Cameroon has crisis. Cameroon has some other challenges. He's not working for Cameroon, but he cannot forget where he comes from.
Exactly. I think that he stands a good chance to chair these global meetings. He has the experience, having been in Cameroon, seeing the different challenges we are going through, and looking at the global arena where we have to forge partnership to build a new global social cooperation. He stands a great chance to bring a wealth of experience. Of course, Cameroon is going to benefit from this. Cameroon is back on the global stage, not only because of football, but now chairing the General Assembly. And this also gives Cameroonians a lot of assignment to clean their houses and to make sure that they give, let's say, good news and for him to be able to do his job fruitfully.
Thank you. We took our microphone to the street and we met one person who knows His Excellency, Mr. Young Philemon, personally, and who has worked with him. And we asked, this is Honorable Ojambeng Stephen, and this is the appreciation he has of the election of Mr. Young Philemon.
I'm really happy because the person who has been elected, Prime Minister Emeritus Philemon Young, is a father I know too well. Is somebody who is serious and has a lot of concern for his people. He's a seasoned diplomat and administrator. No doubt, President Paul Biya, the father of the nation, who knows his people and knows their capability, decided that he should be the candidate to represent Cameroon. As a Cameroonian, I should be very happy that one of us has been given that opportunity to head the diplomacy of the world. Cameroon is on the top of diplomacy in the world today. It's a pride to all Cameroonians. It's a pride to all the people from the Northwest and Southwest, because one of us is heading the diplomacy of the world. One thing I like with His Excellency President Paul Biya is as a father who is down to earth. He listened to his people, he watched them closely and know the ability of one another. And so, remember, he said, I was born in Cameroon, I live in Cameroon, and I shall die in Cameroon. Again, he came to Bamenda and said, Bamenda is my second home. And we are seeing it diplomatically, gradually he's getting there to prove to Cameroonians and the people of the Northwest that Bamenda is his second home. No doubt the choice of the person he chose to represent Cameroon at this prestigious office. Northwest, Southwest, and Cameroon has a lot of conflict here and there. It takes only somebody who masters the field of conflict, like he has already witnessed what is going on in the Northwest and in the Southwest, to be able to look at similar situation happening elsewhere in the other countries, to see that Africa, the conflict which is ravaging all the African countries, can be minimized to the minimal rate. I don't doubt who has been elected. I know he's going to be up to the task, and in the days ahead, we Cameroonians will live to say, thank you, President Paul Biya, for choosing one of us and not making a mistake with the candidate, but somebody who is grounded. He is knowledgeable. He is that person who listens to the people. He is a diplomat, a seasoned diplomat. Again, a father who have worked in the administration. He has worked all the offices of the administration in Cameroon. And we don't doubt his capability. I believe he will be up to the task.
Yes, we believe, we see with you, Honorable Ojambeng Stephen, that His Excellency Mr. Young Philemon will be up to the task. For 1 year, he's going to chair the United Nations General Assembly. That is the 79th United Nations General Assembly. Now, we're going to move on to some other thing that happened in Cameroon, and all Cameroonians again found themselves in a coalition, communioning with the Lions, and everybody was clapping yesterday. Well, for few who did not clap, we are not talking about them, because we're talking about country, we're talking about Cameroon. The indomitable Lions of Cameroon won the Cabo Verde yesterday 4-1, and sports people call that thrashing. Yes, this victory was special because our sports in the past weeks, in the past months, have had some internal bickering. this was very good and timely.
Yes, Killian, the Lions made Cameroonians proud again. We were able to relive some of those glorious moments in our football history, which is victory. And we only pray that they keep the spirit of victory in their next match. I think at least that is going to really convince spectators that they are back on the rails.
Thank you very much. And Dr. Tata Emmanuel Fon, it's not only victory. We had again the type of dream team that Cameroonians used to have.
Yes, Killian, you're very right. I enjoyed the team, honestly speaking. I really did enjoy the team. I was really fascinated by what went on after all the trouble that we've had. So it proves that dialogue is possible in this country in every aspect of our lives. It proves that we can sit down and have a conversation, and at the end we win whatever battle we are fighting. That is what it proves in this country. So I was very happy, and I celebrate the Lions' victory with every Cameroonian.
Thank you very much. And you were in the plane. I don't know whether you watched the match, Dr. Kennedy. Did you watch? Even if you didn't watch, you must have watched the broadcast or the various reports.
Yes, of course. On transit in Istanbul, I actually went online, saw the beginning of the match, which was a little bit timid. But I was so surprised that when we landed at 1 a.m. and we heard about the victory 4-1, which was really great. I think that, as Dr. Tata said, it proves that impossibility is not Cameroonian. So we can go beyond certain obstacles. And it means a lot for the economic dispensation of our country, because sports attracts people, and when people are attracted, their hearts open. When their hearts opens, they tend to look for investment opportunities, and that's what we are looking for.
Thank you very much. And you saw the government on the field at the Omnisport Stadium in Yaoundé. His Excellency the Prime Minister, Chief Dr. Joseph Dion Ngute himself was there. The mobilization of the government, because we're talking about Cameroon, the indomitable lions of Cameroon, the mobilization of the spectators, the distinguished dignitaries that we had there showed how Cameroonians were hungry for victory, how they wanted that fighting spirit to come from the indomitable lions, and that is exactly what we had. There is no doubt that even if we lose any match ahead, the team has come back to what we expected to have. Thank you very much, the Prime Minister, for moving right to the stadium to support the Lions. We are behind you. We are behind the indomitable Lions. We should look for a piece of color to give to the PM for cheering up our own Lions. Yes. And at this moment, we're going to move into our focus for today on Press Hour, and it is economic transformation. What is the role of small and medium-sized enterprises and the social economy? Now, we start with the Economist. When we talk about the small and medium-sized enterprises, which are these enterprises we're talking about?
Well, according to the definition laid down by the Ministry of Small and Medium-Sized Enterprises in Cameroon, small and medium-sized enterprises could be distinguished either by size, either by the volume of their investment, meaning and by job creation, size, volume of investment, and job creation. But in fact, small and medium-sized enterprises are those companies, businesses that provides goods and services at a certain threshold, that creates jobs, that fosters innovation, that actually contributes to the development of the nation's gross domestic product. And these are all activities that are being created, produced within the countries for the attainment of their specific objective and the production of goods and services for the economy. You will see this definition looking at either above 10 million CFA number of jobs. I don't want to go details in this definition because With the advent of the digital economy, you can have a company with 2 people that creates a turnover of approximately 50 million. So just take it simple. Small and medium-sized enterprises are those companies, institutions, establishment within the company that produce goods and services above a certain threshold.
Thank you. Dr. Tata Emana Fon, you are the CEO of AfroBrains. Is your enterprise, your company, small, medium, or bigger than that?
Thank you very much, Killian. In Cameroon, generally, it's very difficult to tell what a company, whether a company is small, whether a company is medium, or whether a company is large. Because you see, we don't have an economy in Cameroon. Generally, because an economy would mean that there is a section of the business going on in the company in the country which is producing. There is a section which is into distribution, and there is a section, maybe they are consumers, and there is export. When once you have a system where there is no production, you cannot describe that as an economy. So the truth is, because of our level of production, which is almost zero, we are not an economy. We are a commerce. We are a buy and sell system where we do not really have a base that we can consider as production. So basically, my company will consider itself in the category of small and medium-sized enterprise if we were to superimpose the small and medium-sized enterprise as it is supposed to operate in a normal economy. So basically, that is where we find ourselves.
Now, when you talk about production, you're not talking about transformation. The problem I know we have in Cameroon is transformation, not production. Please, can we understand why you say we are not an economy when I know that we produce?
Yeah, well, you see, in Cameroon, we have a system where we what we refer to as we produce is not manufacturing. It's not like a building. It's not like value addition. What we have is probably buying and selling from other economies. Because, for example, Cameroon, you would find Cameroonians buying even things like gypsum, and they'll sell to other countries. You'll find Cameroonians buying a lot of products from other countries and then sell to other countries. You'll find a lot of Cameroonians, you go to the port, you would find a lot of goods that are being imported into Cameroon, and they are importing them to sell to other countries, maybe because of certain incentives at our ports or something like that. So, but when you go to manufacturing, when it goes to value addition, when it goes to creating value from our natural environment, that is what makes an economy to boast. That is, take for example, we have our CDC, which is the top producer of banana in Africa.
So we produce.
Of course.
You got me the impression that we are not producing. I was going to come to some of those examples. We produce banana, as you say. We produce cocoa. We produce even wood. We produce so many other things.
It is exciting to hear that we produce bananas, right? But 80% of the banana produced and exported from Cameroon is not by Cameroonians. It's a French company that has been able to do that. 80%, I'm talking about 80%. Cameroon produces about a little above 16,000 tons of bananas and export each year. But out of the 16,000 tons, just about 7,000 tons, so just a little of it is produced by actually Cameroonian-owned companies.
I will not push that argument, because I am even told that you have traveled more to the Americas and to Europe and to Asia more than me. I am told that the IT that you have in the United States is more by people who are of different origins, India and the rest. So it is not because they are French people producing in Cameroon. We don't say it's in Cameroon. Will you add something to that?
Yeah, I just want to say I can understand the perspective where Doctor is coming from as a champion of transformation, processing industry in Cameroon. He always wants to make a distinction about the production, the transformative industry, the processing industry. But of course, like what he's trying to say is that we have the primary sector, the primary industry is there, has dominated our production capacity for the past years. But as we move ahead towards the second phase of our industrial transformations. We do not find a lot of processing industry in Cameroon. We still import a lot of products. That is why the policy of import substitution came up. But I think he's not negating the fact that we have the primary sector production, banana and so on. And but he's trying to say that the second phase, which is the processing industry, is a hope for us. And if you look at that, processing economy is a big challenge. But the last part, which will be service, which is a tertiary and service sector, is also coming. But I think that we need to make a balance between the primary sector, the secondary and industrial sector, and the tertiary sector.
Thank you. That makes me feel a bit comfortable because when I hear we are not producing, it's so worrisome for me. Thank you for bringing down or balancing up, as you've put it. Yes, Elias, our economy.
Yes, the experts there are looking at. I want to think that they're looking at more at the bigger picture. Me, I want to look at the informal sector here. I'm looking at the small trader. I'm looking at the small farmer. You know, I'm looking at this buy and sell in the market. These are when you mention in your entry there that they employ 70% of the population. This is true because this is the informal sector is like the engine of the economy. When an economist tell you that the economy is buoyant, it means money changes hands easily, and these are the people who are behind that engine. So I think they are quite important. Now the problem is how the sector is organized and how the sector is permitted. Is there an enabling environment for their growth?
Yes, and when we sent out the poster, there is one fervent viewer of Press R of CRTV programs, Dr. Joe Ngale, who is based in the United States of America. And this is what he had to say about the role of small and medium-sized enterprises. He says small businesses are a vital part of the American economy, accounting for 44% of economic activity and 99% of all U.S. firms. We will have that, please. Let us have that again. Let me take it. Yes, small businesses are a vital part of the American economy, accounting for 44% of economic activity and 99.9% of all U.S. firms. Small and medium-sized enterprises, the SMEs, he says, are the backbone of the Cameroonian economy, accounting for 90% of all businesses and over 70% of the employment force. He quotes the statistics that are as recent as we can say March 4, 2024. In 2020, he continues, Cameroon scored 46 points in the Ease of Doing Businesses Index. The country does not offer a particularly favorable environment for conducting business activities. Here again, he quotes April 28, 2024. This is Dr. Joe Ngale Awasome, who is based in the United States of America. Now, we will come back to him. He had more to talk about the economy. Let us comment on what he has said, Dr. Kennedy.
Yes, I want to take two things. One is the informal sector. What he's saying is right, by statistics, by definition, but what is the size? What is the productive, what is the survival rate? And what is the productive capacity of this? Let me take survival rate. As our co-panelist rightly said, the informal sector is full of innovation, creativity, and absorbs school drops out, absorbs most of the imperfection in our economy. But what is the process of migrating this informal sector into the formal sector? Of course, the government came out with rules and regulations, policies, and that is where we say that if we improve from what he said, the business climate, if we continuously create conditions that are favorable, we will be able to migrate. Today it's possible to create a company for 2 weeks in Cameroon, but creating is not enough. I mean, 24 hours to 2 weeks. It is not enough. The Ministry of Small and Medium-Sized Enterprises is doing a lot, but the conditions, other conditions on the ground, is not making sure that the country's economy is being driven by the private sector. I want you to understand something. He said that we do not have an economy. We need to understand that our economy is migrating from a tender-driven economy, what we call, some economists call économie de marché public, meaning that everybody creates company to get a public tender. We are now migrating from a tender-driven economy to a production and transformative business economic, where the private sectors runs the economy. That is why you will see most of the outings of the head of state, the prime ministers and other ministers, they are only saying that we need to invest in we need to improve conditions for the private sector so that they can become growth and the engine of growth for the development and transformation of our economy. Ngale is right to say that in the American economy, it is the small and medium-sized enterprises. In the German economy, there's a small and medium-sized enterprises. The National Institute of Statistics report saying that the small and medium-sized enterprises does a lot is true, but below this report, we see a lot of imperfections, and that is the role that the informal sector plays, and the migration strategy is not yet fine-tuned.
Yes, and let us finish with the contribution of Dr. Joe Ngale. This is what he says when you are reacting to that. You talked about the environment, which he raised in his contribution. This again is what he says about the environment, that 75% of small businesses fall in Cameroon within the first 5 years of operation due to two main reasons. The first is the complex tax system. The second is high employee theft. Now, these are the various things that he has raised. That's John Ngale, and he is a senior auditor at the United States Department of the Treasury. Now, you have he has added something to what you said. Before we come to Dr. Tatanfon, you see he completed some of the things that you talked about.
Yes, I think I love that, because that takes into consideration two elements. One is the role of individuals and the employees' ethics. Employees' theft, employees' disloyalty, employees' productivity in our country is a big problem. So the tax system, of course, is a little bit questionable, because you cannot have an economy that everything that finances government's income is high taxation. We need to come in with a system where we help those little companies, those startups that are coming in. We need to give them the opportunity to carry out tax redistribution, because government collects these taxes, create public goods, and they redistribute it. No, allow the private sector to use this money, give them responsibility to create the environment around them, training for their employees, give them tax breaks so that they can create this minimum environment and tax them later. So I think Ngale is right, but something which is very striking is the creation, survivor, and sustainability rate of these enterprises. That is why I'm happy that the percentage of the survival rate has improved, but it is very, very difficult when you open a company, you do not have ethically driven employees that are capable of producing the goods and services, respects good and respect the responsibility of the companies. It is very, very difficult to make sure that you can produce. So we have to improve the productivity and moral dispensations of workers. Theft is a serious issue. Most of us that came from Europe, investors here, we can write encyclopedia about the type of behavior some of our employees have.
Dr. Tata Emmanuel Fon, you have a company. Have you gone through this very difficult tax system and employee theft? So how are you surviving?
Yes, thank you very much, Kilian. You see, in Cameroon, the first thing when you set up a company is to train your staff, because honestly speaking, the mindset of Cameroonians is not a mindset that can sustain in a company, a startup company. If you want to start a company in Cameroon, you should be ready to change at least 10 sets of staff before you even get to the point where your company can be very stable, because a lot of Cameroonians do not have the mindset. Because of the quality of education that Cameroonians have, they do not have the mindset of surviving. Cameroonians just believe that they can achieve everything from a job. Cameroonians don't believe that they can learn even from those that employ them, because it's possible that I can employ somebody and the person learns from my spirit of entrepreneurial spirit, and then becomes an entrepreneur on his own. But the mindset of Cameroonians is just that they come into a company to drain, they don't have a focus as to if the company is succeeding or not. They don't have that focus, and it's very disturbing in a society like Cameroon, where we're supposed to be developing. But you see, if we ask ourselves a question, what quality of entrepreneurship do we have at our educational base? Our educational system is not oriented to give Cameroonians that possibility to be sustainable in the way that they look at, in the way that they live. They feel that maybe a job is the same as work. Meanwhile, it is not the same. So I just think that the difference is purely clear. The work of a man is the system that he sets into place that can give him renewable income, even when he doesn't have the strength to work. But a job is simply exchanging your time and your energy and your effort for income. So it's pretty much very different. But Cameroonians have developed this tendency of thinking that job is work, and when they get to job, they behave as though they were at work, or they tell people they are at work, which is very different.
Yes, Doctor, before you continue, I wish to say, you should say some Cameroonians, because you are a Cameroonian and you don't have the same spirit, and there are so many of you. Am I wrong?
You're excellent. You're perfectly very right. A majority of Cameroonians have that tendency. And obviously speaking, the reason why we're saying this is because it is our wish that Cameroonians begin to see themselves as global citizens. They should begin to see themselves as people who can live in Cameroon, they can live in the US, they can live anywhere else in the world, and they can maintain the same behavior, the same character, and they can succeed.
Thank you very much. Elias, you have a reaction to that, and after the reaction, you have your own question, which is, you are the publisher of a newspaper, Echo Outlook. After your reaction, tell us, which of the enterprises or companies are you? Small, medium size, big size?
That is just where I was coming. We interest you to know that we also fall within that realm of small and medium sized enterprises. And as he mentioned, a good number of these enterprises rely on tender. You know, there is one thing doing that service, and there is another thing getting paid. Yes. If you wouldn't imagine that it takes 3, 4, 5 years for a single bill to be paid at the level of the Ministry of Finance. I just read last week in the newspaper that the minister has approved allocation of some billions for addressing the problems of small and medium-sized enterprises payment. But that will take another 2 years before that decision becomes effective. And that brings me to the point of workers are toying with company money. You imagine a worker working with a small enterprise go for 6-7 months without payment. When the enterprise does not get the bills paid, how does the proprietor pay the workers? So it's a very big challenge. It's an issue to be addressed squarely.
Yes, we're going into the role you are of the media. What's the role? Where is the media failing, or where is the media not doing their work?
Yes, it is really not surprising anyway, because the media does not cover this area very much. You know, the focus of the media is more on where they will have funding to run their newspapers. The small trader, the small business enterprises, it's not really pulling their attention. You can readily understand this because the private press does not get the backing that the government is supposed to give them. So they look for where it is a business. They are running a business as well, so they look at for where profit will come in. You know.
Thank you. Yes, Doctor, you have an explanation on that area to make, and after that, I'm going to ask you, the economist and the CEO and entrepreneur, specific questions. Yes.
Yes. So I want to. He actually raised that point, and that is the missing middle in Cameroon. The media. Nobody financed them. These guys are providing what is called public goods. They are the correction mechanisms. So if you do not give them incentive to become impartial and provide adequate information, the business sector does not finance the press to advertisement. Why? It's because the leftover by the business sector is not sufficient enough to pay for publicity and advertisement. What happens, as he said, the sole provider of the tender economy, the engine of the tender economy, is the government. And once you keep bills, once you do not pay, then you destroy the growth, the wealth production process. Therefore, I will be very happy if there are discussions between the media and the Ministry of Small and Medium-Sized Enterprises, the Ministry of Finance, to be able to allocate specific budget, additional. We know they give additional budget to allow them to play their third man's role in the economic and transformation and social contract within the society. If the economics is not being covered, I'm happy that the Eco Outlook tries to give lamplight on the economic dispensations, but who pays them? He will pay. He will pays the pipers.
Dictates the tune.
So that is why he's right. They are profit center. I like the topic because you talk about the social economy. They are social business. They solve social problem, but they have to survive like a business.
Yes, Elias, just to say before I go into some specific questions, the Ministry of Communication gives you the public assistance to private media. And apart from that, when the public investment budget is made public, some of you are selected, you either are involved in 1, 2 regions, or even sometimes 3 regions, and there you have some money coming in from the Ministry of Finance and the economy.
Yes, Killian, well, you are right, but how much is the amount? You know, an average private press spends maybe not less than 120 million, 80 million a year to print the newspaper, or to run for production of the newspaper. And the ministry comes up to give you a 1.5 million for the whole year. You can imagine it cannot print 2 issues of your newspaper. Yes. So it is really quite small, and I think the private press needs to be encouraged.
Yes, I agree.
Yes, because take the public. You know, they are serving the same, as he said. They are providing a social service. Mm-hmm. The taxpayers' money goes to CRTV. Just 5% of that amount given to the private press will solve a lot of problems.
Now, I should add to that amount, which is not the same for all the media. Mm-hmm. You just gave an example, because there are some media houses that get 3 million and things like that. Mm-hmm. Now, in addition to that, when the public investment budget is published,
for your information, it was stopped 2 years ago.
Let me tell you, whether it was stopped or not, it's just for every newspaper, if you are shortlisted for one region, mm-hmm. you have about 2.5 to 3 million. And there are some of you who are shortlisted for 3 regions, and you add that, say 2.5, 3 million times 3.
25 press organs benefit out of 100 press organs.
Yeah, no, but
how much is that?
We have to just get the facts. I'm not saying it's enough.
Yes.
If we are giving the facts, we should give all the facts.
No, and mind you, the private press is not only limited to the print. You have private radios, you have private TV, television, you have online media.
Now,
they don't get this.
Now, I have some specific questions to the economist and to the CEO, who are people who are now the economist. What is happening to the economic growth rate of Cameroon that has been stagnating between 3 and 4? We even announced 6%, but we always come up with 3, 4, and it will get up to 5. We are clapping, we are jubilating. What is happening?
Yeah, I think there are many issues. The attractiveness of our economy is the growth. The propensity of our attractiveness, or the coefficients of attractiveness, is very small. meaning that despite the efforts that the government has made in putting in certain rules and regulations, certain laws, the attractive rate of our economy is being stopped by many things. On the other part, the instability that happens in the northern part of the country continuously push away a very critical source of income, which is attracting tourists to visit our Waza Park and so on, because there were few income that were taken into that park. But the advantage with that is that because people cannot get into the park, the animals have now grown and the value of that park has increased, meaning that if we invest more money to improve the attractiveness of that park, is fine. Secondly, the policies that the government have put in place are now coming up. For example, some of the infrastructural projects that were put are now getting to completion. The
so
energy
we could get to 6%.
We need to. There are other issues. The entrepreneurial mindsets, pumping in money to the small and medium-sized enterprises. We do not. Going back, I think it's in your questions. We do not have the small and medium-sized enterprises bank that is geared towards providing money to small and medium-sized enterprises that need it.
That was created.
We have it, but the market capitalization.
Where it is situated?
Yes. The financial endowment of the small and medium-sized enterprise bank is very small. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you look at the 90% of this role that the small and medium-sized enterprises play, and then you look at the capital endowment, meaning the financial capacity of this small and medium-sized enterprise bank, is very small. That is why economists are asking the government to capitalize this economy, to capitalize this bank so that it can provide revenue. Another part is the imperfection that we have within the managerial process, meaning that bottlenecks, we still have certain bottlenecks, you might call it corruptions or so on, but the government is doing a lot to eliminate, but they need to do that in a very strong way so that they can be able to give encourage small and medium-sized enterprises. Another part is the non-respect of payment dates. Mm-hmm. It kills an enterprise when he performs services, and then at the end of the day, the bills are not paid in time. The fixed cost, whether you pay or you do not pay, the fixed costs keep on accumulating.
And if you got that loan from a bank, the interest accrues, and you end up not having anything from the final thing that you get. Thank you very much for the explanation. Now, to you, Dr. Tata Fon, what are the priority areas in the small and medium-sized enterprises that should be focused on for the economy to be transformed? Are there priority areas, sectors that focus should be laid on?
Thank you very much, Killian. Actually, the question you've asked is right on the spot. You see, it's more than a year that the head of state, His Excellency President Paul Biya, came out, and everybody was very happy and actually defined the direction of the politics of Cameroon up to 2035. What he said was the import substitution. Cameroonians were expecting the Ministry of Commerce to come out and say, okay, Cameroon is importing about 1 million tons of wheat flour. Can we take it down by about 30% so that we can give room? Cameroon produces about 6 million tons of cassava. If this cassava flour that we are producing in Cameroon, can we substitute the wheat that we are importing by just about 30 to start with, so that you can start by encouraging the people locally? If we could do that, is it also possible for us to do the same with other crops? What about the Ministry of Transport? What about the Ministry of Agriculture? What are some of those moves that they've made to show that they have embraced the head of state's vision on import substitution? You see, it is unfortunate that those of us entrepreneurs who believe the head of state in all his words and everything, we knew very well that when the head of state defines the political vision in this way, other ministries will embrace it. We will talk about taxation. Taxation should have come out and say, okay, what about those who are producing? What can we do for them that can encourage them to produce more? Because you see, when we talk about manufacturing, that is what holds an economy. We cannot build an economy on buy and sell. our banks, what are our banks doing to encourage local entrepreneurs, to encourage local production? Take a proposal to a bank and tell them that you want to produce these goods, even if that proposal is coming from a local company here that has the money cash. As long as you tell the bank that you are going to produce those goods here locally in Cameroon, they are not going to give you the money to produce it. You have a company that is ready to pay you money cash for the production, the local production of a particular good. The banks will not give you the money. The banks want you to buy these things from abroad and then supply, because they don't believe that we can start building our own local production capacity.
You are speaking from experience.
Exactly, I'm speaking from experience. Of course, I'm speaking from experience.
Yes.
These are things that happen, and these are things that kill local companies. Because I assume that our banks should be our companion, as they claim, accompanying the government to the development. We are supposed to be able to work with our banks so that they can encourage our production. Because if banks start to finance production, local production, agriculture, because they see the risk, they are meandering between the level of the risk and those kind of things. But then, how are we going to get out of the situation where we are? China, for example, I have written proposals to Ministry of Agriculture, to the Ministry of Small and Medium-Sized Enterprise, the Ministry of Finance, to encourage the ministries so that we can set up multi-product food transformation units at the various regions. What is the importance of this? This will encourage our farmers in all the regions to bring their crops, because remember that the problem of Cameroon is that we do not add value to the local resources and God blessings that we have in this country. If we could have at every region in Cameroon, we have a multi-product food transformation unit, what will happen is that it will employ about 500 Cameroonians. I'm talking about 500 Cameroonians in each of these units.
In that vein, you are an expert in machine building and agricultural value chain engineering. Now, what are you producing? What are you producing, and what value are you adding to the things that you have in Cameroon? Please, 2 minutes, because we have to.
Yeah, we produce machines for agricultural value chain addition, meaning that we develop value chains, meaning that we identify crops. We can identify a local crop like, for example, cocoyams, and we say, okay, what values can we get from cocoyams? People eat achu in Cameroon. Can we create a value chain such that we can supply cocoyams? Remember that in our local markets in Cameroon, all the supermarkets you see, just less than 2% of the products that we find in our supermarkets is made in Cameroon. We have to produce local products and flood all our supermarkets. Cameroonians need to start producing, develop products. And as I was saying, accompanying the head of state in his vision, institutions like ANOR has to start developing local standards, so that we can push more products into our local markets. So that is what is going to move Cameroon from where it is. But if we just have to continue to sing the song of import substitution, it's not going to change anything.
Thank you. The last question, we don't have so much time left, is we have crisis in Cameroon, especially in the northwest and southwest regions. And these two regions, especially the northwest, was reputed, I'm putting in the past tense, because it has been affected. The social economy, which so many people said was going to overtake so many others, was basically had the grounds in northwest and southwest. Now, how has the crisis affected social economy?
I think the first sentence I can make is that we cannot use the military to solve poverty and unemployment. What we have to use is economic strategies. What we have to use is, people are complaining of poverty, people are complaining of hunger. What can we do? We are going to bring them factories. We're going to build factories. We're going to create employment. That is how we solve poverty. We don't solve poverty with a gun. We don't shoot poverty to death. What we do is that we get factories into those places. There is a lot of raw materials,
we need peace before we build factories.
Yeah, well, the thing is that the situation where we find ourselves, I can tell you with all certainty that if we start setting up factories at the level of Santa, we start setting up factories and descending, it will work. Let us stop. People are complaining of hunger and all those things, that we're going to shoot hunger to death.
Doctor, you go and you start building a factory, somebody comes and burns it down. We need to make sure that it is not burned down before we build. That's what we are saying.
No, the thing is, you see, these are our children. Let's not act all of a sudden as
yes.
if
There you
they
go.
have become other
Super.
people. These are people who are complaining about the fact that they are hungry. They don't have jobs. Youths, even in Yaoundé, it's not just in the northwest and south. What are we talking about? Did we not just get information the other day that an urban, the council person was a council
Bello.
police was
No.
killed by a bike rider?
Okay.
How long are we going to continue to wait for this conflict between the council police and the bike riders start to get into something else? What we are supposed to do, we cannot shoot unemployment, we cannot shoot hunger. What we are supposed to do is to create jobs, develop factories. Let me tell you something, please. Give me 1 second. Remember that we are one of the top exporters of bananas. The stem of the banana, we can produce what from there? We can produce cotton. We can produce sanitary pads for our girls, and we can produce paper. Can we set up a factory in CDC? Can we set up a factory, all those places where we produce bananas, so that we can produce these goods, create jobs for these young people?
Okay, thank
That
you.
is what we are supposed to be doing.
Thank you. Well, I still insist that we need peace. We need an environment that favors that type of infrastructural development. Now, I have not heard the answer to the question that I asked Dr. Kennedy. Social economy, I'm thinking of things like Njangi, cooperative unions, and the rest. They have been affected
Yes.
because of the crisis.
So you're right. We have to understand the engine of our social economy, social gatherings, things like Njangi, cooperatives, credit unions, and other has been affected by the crisis. So they have moved in certain areas from local to digital. Others have moved from the rural areas to urban or other regional areas where there are not crises. So what we think is that we should encourage the creations of those initiatives. We need to create spaces within the region, and that is why the report that was written by the Economic Commission of the Economic Commission. The United Nations Economic Commission for Africa. They actually said that we have to create incubation zones. We have to create special zones at the rural area.
Yes,
He
talked about it already.
and we have it. So the government has created the MAXI, which is the special economic zones.
Yes.
In Bama, in that it exists. In Southwest, it exists.
Yes,
so we
almost all the
need to
region.
make sure that
Yes.
we can create those things in those zones. But you're right, the social economy would be the growth engine that absorbs
Thank you.
our people. We
Thank
need
you.
to encourage it.
Thank you. 1 minute, Elias. We have just 1.5 minutes to go to the end of this
Yes,
program.
Gillian. You know, I think that decentralization will solve a lot of these problems. Northwest and Southwest, just like other regions, they need effective decentralization. The government says, the government says they are giving decentralization, but effectively on the ground, it is not there. They will tell you the rules and regulations for this sector is on paper. How effective can it be applied on the ground? The decentralized units, the regions, the councils can handle this issue more effectively to give the results.
Thank you very much. And it's on that note, ladies and gentlemen, that we come to the end of today's edition of Press R, on which you heard Dr. Tuminta Kennedy and economist Dr. Tata Emanafon, expert in machine building and agricultural value chain engineering. We had Elias Ngalame, who is the publisher of Eco Outlook, and we were not able to have Professor Kelly Moore Kingsley, finance expert, because he was held back, he told us, by things he could not control. We want to thank you immensely for being there for us on Press R. I'm going to take an annual leave, so from next week, you're going to be in the company of Prince Will Mokwele Aduma until we come back. We want you to continue to watch Press R and watch CRTV programs. Thanks for watching. Have a nice time.